If I could tell you the secret ingredient to what makes most people successful, wouldn't you want to know it? Well, it's not really a secret. In fact, it came from Harvard. They did a study years ago where they found that 5% of the success that people experience, and these are successful people who are studying, so 5% of their success came from their knowledge. 10% came from their application of that knowledge. In other words, their skill sets. A full 85% came from their attitude. Now, why is this exciting? Well, it takes a long time to learn things. It takes an even longer time to become adept at that information, applying it. But you can change your attitude like that. So, how do we do that? Well, let's look at what attitude is. Attitude is a habit of thinking. And we know that habits are hard to make and break, difficult to work with. But I want you to think about what we're really talking about. If you were able to change your attitude so that the experience that you're experiencing don't change, but you're looking at it through a different lens. That's what attitude does. It's kind of like a lens that you're looking through. So you interpret your experiences differently. What do I mean by that? Well, instead of seeing a problem as a problem, you see it as a challenge to overcome. Instead of seeing something as a failure, you see it as an opportunity to try new things. Or if you look at yourself in the mirror, instead of seeing the person that you're currently seeing, instead you see yourself as someone who is beautiful, powerful, competent. Now, can that make a difference in your life? I'm here to assure you it can. And how do I know? Because I went through that exact same transformation in my thinking, and it dramatically changed my life. I went from being somebody who didn't believe they could do anything, having tremendous doubts. I went from that person to someone who thought that they were powerful beyond measure. I went from seeing myself as destined to a life of poverty to knowing I could earn as much as I wished to. I went from being afraid to get on stage and talk to a dozen people to being able to get on stage and talk to thousands. How did it happen? I went through an attitude adjustment. At least that's what I call it. So let me explain what I mean by that. There are 3 ways to adjust your attitude. The first is to understand and fully accept that what your attitude is, and that it is the problem, and it needs adjusting. Secondly, you need to reprogram your mind. Thirdly, you need to practice until that new attitude becomes a habit. So the first and the second parts are pretty easy to understand, and I think you understand what I'm getting at. The reprogramming, that's the difficult part. What do I mean by reprogramming? I know it sounds cultish, but in fact, it's exactly how we came to have the attitudes we currently have. You're programmed by the people around you, by your school, by media, and finally you start reinforcing it yourself. You're the one who says to yourself, I'm always late. You're the one who says to yourself, I can never remember things. You're the one who says, I can't learn a new language. These are all ways that you reinforce the programming that you've picked up somewhere. What we're going to do is we're going to use exactly the same thing to reprogram you. It's called affirmations. But instead of affirming a bad habit, what we're going to do is turn around and affirm the good habits that you want to have, that you want to change. So here's the formula for creating an affirmation. First, it's a statement in the first person. I am. It has to be personal because it's about you. You're the one who's changing. Then it's in the present tense, as if the habit has already been changed. Finally, or thirdly rather, it's positive. You're going to be positive about it. You're also going to make it powerful by using colorful language, adjectives. And then finally, you're going to passionately proclaim it. So it's in the first person, present tense, positive, powerful, and passionately proclaimed. That's your formula for affirmations. Now, take one of those habits that you want to change and let's write an affirmation for it, beginning with a statement that the habit has already changed. And I'll give you an example. I said this earlier. Some people are believe that they're always late for things. In fact, people tell them that they're late, and they annoy people because they show up late. So let's change that habit of procrastination by writing an affirmation that says, I'm always arrive early or on time because it shows that I respect and care for the people I'm meeting. I always arrive early or on time because it shows that I respect and care for the people I'm meeting. So that's an affirmation that has some emotion in it because you're caring about people and you're wanting to make a difference in people's lives. Now, what you do is simply put emotion in that and repeat it over and over until you have reprogrammed your mind from thinking that you're always a person who shows up late to being a person that shows up on time or even early. So I'm going to end with my favorite affirmation. This comes from W. Clement Stone, who ran this huge insurance agency back in the 50s and 60s. And he used to have his agents run around the office saying this because he wanted to send them out into the world to make a real difference for them and for their clients. And so what he had them saying was, I feel healthy. I feel happy. I feel terrific. And I'm going to really challenge you to say that with gusto and then tell me that you don't feel terrific and ready to take on the world. I feel healthy. I feel happy. I feel terrific.